to create a to-do project using React Native Firebase Firestore. So we have already created one project. Here you can see a project is running. The project name is to-do. If you are not able to create the project, you can use the command npx react native init to do. So it will create a React Native project. I have already created a project. Then open the project in VS Code. See, you can see the Android folder, iOS folder, and then app.js file, right? The project is running on my device. Now the next thing is what we need to integrate React Native Firebase. For that one, first what we have to do, create a Google service file. So we can go into our Android main file, copy the package name. Here is the package name. Create a project name we can just to do. Yes, I accept the term and conditions. Click continue. Then I don't want to enable Google Analytics in this project, so create project. So it will create a React Firebase project in our Firebase console. Yes, it's created a project. Now what we need to do, click continue. Here you can see project. So I'm going to create Android project here. Click on Android. Package name, add the package name what we have added, copied from main first file. Register. Next. Continue to console. So it will, the project will continue to the console. We can just go into the settings. Here you can see real base analytics, everything you can see. What we can go, Firestore database. Create a database. Here you can see databases. Okay, now what we need to do, just click next. Are you set the location? You can just enable it. Just enable cloud Firestore in this project. So it's enabling. Setting up security rules and everything. Yes, you can see the project is enabled. Now what we need to do, we need to download the Google service file. Go to the settings. Here you can see Google service file. Download it. Show in Finder. Copy this file. Go to desktop. To do Android app. You can just paste the item. Here you can see the Google service file should be Android app folder. We have placed it correctly. Now we can go for React Native Firebase setup. So first of all, what we need to do, we can add the library into our project. So we have done this so many times in our previous videos. We can just add this library. And then we have already placed the Google service file. Now what we need to do, we need to add class path Google service. Okay, so for that one, go to the project src, where it should be Android build.gradle. So we can just Android build.gradle. Here you can add that one. So class path is here. Fine. So we have added the class path. Now the next thing is we need to add this line. So we can copy this one, Android app build.gradle. So Android app build.gradle, we can just add the plugin. So we have completed the setup for Android. Now we can just rebuild the application once more. We have installed. Also we can install the React Native Firestore. So we can just go here, usage. Here you can see yarn add React Native Firestore. Copy that one. Yes, we have added Android Firestore. So library is installed. Now we can run the application once more because we have changed the native module. We can just type npm run android. It will build the application once more. Yes, you can see the application is building. Now you can see the application builder successfully. You can see it's loading. Yes, so we have completed the setup for React Native, Firebase and React Native Firestore. So we can jump into the implementation with our code. So this is our by default code which is generated by React Native. We can remove this section, remove this one. Also we can just remove all this code and also remove all the by default styles which is generated by React Native. We can just put a view here, view style flex equal to 1. Then we can put a background color red. Yes, fine. We can just remove this node section from app and make this as a simple functional component. We can also remove this unwanted imports. Yes, fine. Now let us refresh the screen. I can see now what we need a text input on the top, so we can just add a text input. Yes, text input is the created value. We can just create a hook here, const text you can just, yeah, we can just put set text and use state. Yes, the initial value we can just put null, sorry, empty string, and we can pass this value here text, and the on change text we can just call this function set text, so it will set the value into set text. Now we need to give a style for this text input. We can just add a style. Okay, so we can just give a background color so you can easily understand the structure. Green. Width we can just give 80%, and height we can just give 50. Yes, we can just close this one and refresh. Yes, I can see the text input is here. If I type something, text input is adding. So we can just add some more thing here, padding 10. Okay, so it will just pad the text input. Yes, now what we need a button on that right of the text input. We can just add view style flex direction row. So flex direction row we have given, and we can just put close this view here, and we can just create a button here touchable using the touchable opacity. So we can just import touchable opacity. Yes, touchable opacity is imported. Now we can just refresh the screen. Yes, now I need to create a button inside this touchable opacity. We can just create view style width we can just give 10%. Height same of the text input we can give 15, and background color we can just give a yellow. Yes, and then we can just close this one. We can just check out what happened, and also we can give a text inside this view. So we can just give a text submit. So after adding the value, after adding the text input, we need to submit. So we can just add a style for the text also. We can give color red. Fine. Now if I just refresh, let's see what happened. I can see the button here. Width 10% is not enough. We can just increment. Yes, submit button is there. We can just give style flex equal to 1 for this touchable opacity. Now let's see. Yeah, button is there. We can just resize into 20% itself, 50%. Yeah. I don't think so. Width should be static, so we can just give 120, or we can just give 19. Yes. Width we can give 70%. Yeah, fine, it's work. So we can just reduce the text input size into 70, and this we can just increment into 90. Fine. Now what we can do, we can just create a style sheet here on style sheet dot create sorry, button. We can just add it here, button, copy this old styling of button into there. Fine. We can just give align item sender and justify content sender, so that text will be at the center. Justify content sender. Yes, and we can just give a border radius of 5, so it look like a button. Yes, now we need to refer this to here, or we can just refer to here also. We can just remove the intermediate view from here, so we can just check out. Yes, we can just see button is created. Now what we can do, we can just add a margin left so that it will align left to the button. Yes, also the same thing we can do for padding top, so that the content will be just, yes, so we can just make it 20. padding top. Yes, we can just add into the style main container. Copy this all styling to the main container. You can just put it here. Yes, now refer the style here, styles dot main container. Fine. So we have added the yes. Now what we needed, we need to style the text input. We can just add text input style also here. Yes, just copy this text input style from here. And then put a padding of 3. Yeah, fine, 3 is fine. So we can just add style dot text input. Now if you just look into the screen, I can see, yes, you can just try. If I just type, yes, so we can just add color to the text, color white. Also we can just remove the background color red, so we can just put it background color red. Yes, fine. Now what we can do, we can just give a border radius to the button, same as the button, so it will just like look like same. Yeah, fine. So I think this padding is causing an issue, that's why text is not visible. We can just remove this text, and yeah, I can see. Yes, now what we can do, we need to create sorry, the items, so we can jump into the next lecture. So we have completed our UI. You can see we can just type whatever we want, and the submit button you can see. And the next thing is we can just add on press here, on press, and on submit press. We can just add a reference, submit press, create this function here, const on submit fresh. Yes, console the text whatever we have loaded. Okay, so we can just console the text. Now if you just open our terminal, yes, I can refresh this screen. Meanwhile, also open the flipper, go to the application. Here is my flipper. So flipper is opening. Close. Click on the logs. Yes, we can just refresh the function once more. Here you can see consoles are coming. Now if I type something here and just click submit button, I can see this is consoling here, right? So we can receive the value on text. Now what the next thing is, what we need to do, we need to import Firestore. So for that one, what you can do, copy this import. So we have already installed React Native Firebase slash Firestore. We have already installed. Now what we need to do, we need to create a collection. We have already created database, so we can just create a collection. So to-dos. So this is our reference to our Firestore. So the Firestore reference will be Firestore dot collection name. So we are going to create a collection in our database. We are already created a database. If you look into our Firebase, you can see here is the database. Now I am going to create a collection to do, so which is already creating. I am going to create a to do collection here. Now we are storing this all to dos into our to do collection, so we have created a reference to this to do. Now the next thing is, what we need to do, we can just go to the documentation. Yes, we can to do here. So we have added. Now we can just create a to do reference here. So we can just add to do functionality. We can just add. So for that one, what you have to do, or after submitting, you can just put one condition here. If text dot length greater than 0 only, or if less equal to 0, we can just put a condition alert please and to do, right? So if I am pressing just submit button, you should not go to the database. We can just put a validation here. Also we can put a validation here, disable if text dot length equal to 0. Thus it will not be pressable if the text value is 0. Now what we can just try this one. Okay, refresh the function. Yes, this functionality is not unpressable because we have disabled. Now if I just type something and I click press, you can see the value is printing here. Now we need to store this value into our collection database. So for that one, what we can do, we can just add this like this. So the functionality to add to collection is await ref dot add. So you can see it is suggesting a method ref dot add. So we can just refer that method ref dot add. We are going to add an object here, so we can just add an object. Title become the text, and also we can just create complete value. As it is only adding, we can just make it false, right? Now we can add, after adding this one, we can just make this set text, that is store text into null. So we can just run this one. Await is, so we have using await, we need to make this function async. So we can just make this function async here. Clear? Now what we can do, yes, refresh the function. Just type something and click the submit button. It should add into our database. We can just click the submit button. Yes, it's giving me an error. We can just check out the error. What is the error? Caller do not have the permission to execute specific operation. We can just go here and check out this error. So we can just check out whether reference is there. Yes, caller does not have permission. This is a common error, so we need to create a common reference error. So we can just go here. Yes, copy this rule to our database. So we can just copy here is the rule. So this is the rule. So currently we are not dealing with any rule, so we can just copy this one. Yeah, I need to edit the rule, so we can just paste this rule. So we have completed our UI, right? So whenever we type something and click submit button, this value is printing here, right? If I didn't type something, it will give an alert, please enter to do. Now the next thing is what we need to do. We need to add this, or we need to store this value into our Firestore. So first of all, what we need to do, we need to import Firestore. So we can just import Firestore, or just copy the command import Firestore from react-native-firebase/store. So you can just import. Now the next thing is we need to create a reference to the collection. We have already created a database, right? If you check into our documentation to do Firestore database, we are already created a database to do 724A1. Now we need to create a collection for storing the data. So we are going to create a collection for our to do. So first of all, what we need to do, we need to create a reference to the collection. For creating a reference, what you have to do, const ref Firestore dot Now we can see different methods here. I am just copying collection, and collection need an argument. You can see collection path. So I am just giving a path here to do's. So we are going to store all the value whatever we are typing on the input into the collection to do's. Now the process to add, right? So we need to add the to do whatever we are typing in the text input. So we can just add it. Await, because adding into the Firestore is a asynchronous process, so we need to add await. So we need to declare this method as async. Now we can refer the function refer dot. There will be different method. You can see add, doc, end, before, limit. So I am going to use the method refer dot add. Now I am going to add an object here, right? So here I am going to add an object. Title of the to do, whatever the value I am typing, text. And also I am just adding one flag, complete as false, because as it is initial it will be false value, right? So we can just add false. So we are going to store this object into Firestore. So now we can just try, and after storing the value we can just reset the value into null, so that it will not again store into the Firestore. So we can avoid the redundancy. So just refresh the app once more. Yes, app is refreshing. Now we can just also open the console. If any error comes, we can see. Yes. Now what I am going to do, I am going to type something here. Click the submit button. Yes, you can see the value. If I refresh this here, to do in the collection, you can see the to do's collection is created, and we stored the value complete and title. Now if I type once more test, okay, click submit button. Yes, it is refreshed. You can see the second collection is added. You can see that this is the first document test, second document you can see test. Now if I add test once more, see, after storing the value, here you can see it is dynamically adding the values one by one. Now this is the value, test once more will be here. Now if you are facing an issue with a permission, what you have to do, go to the rules section. I have already updated my rule. Just add this rule here, allow read write if request time less than timestamp the current date, whatever the value here you can add your current date. So you can just add this rule. So I will add this rule in our description. If you are facing an issue with permission, you need to update the rule, right? So you can just copy the rule from here. Also I will be providing this rule. If any issues are coming, you can see different permission issues are coming, right? So that time what you have to do, you have to update the rule. I will be posting this rule into our description. Basically what it is doing, it is allowing any user to write into Firestore without authentication. You can see allow read and write if request time is less than the timestamp of current. So you need to update your rules to write into Firestore. So what we have done so far, we have completed our to do, and we are adding the value into Firestore. We can see the value storing into Firestore. Also you can add the document from here. Field can just put title, value, sample, and one more field we are adding, that is complete. So you can just create one more field, complete false. So this should be boolean, so we can just change it to boolean, and we can just add 1 2 3, save. So you can see that value is also added into our collection. Clear? So this is all about adding the value into our collection. So we have completed the process of adding values into our Firestore. Now what we need is, we need a listener to listen the values adding. So we can create a listener here. So the listener we can place in the hook called use effect. So use effect will work as a component did mount here. So we can just create our Firestore listener here. So Firestore will provide a listener called on snapshot. So it will give every time the update of the data whatever we are adding. So we can just use that method. Copy this one. So paste it here. So we can just console the value here, console.log query snapshot. Right. So now if I refresh the function, let's see what happened. Yes, it's seeing it giving me a values whatever we have stored in the Firebase. Now what we can do, we can just loop in through this document. So we can just create a doc console.log doc. Let's see what happened. So if I refresh the once more, yes, it's giving me each data. Now what I need to make this as readable data. So there is a method called doc. So doc dot data, I can just use the method. You can see give me a method, Firestore method. So I'm just calling that method doc dot data. Now let's see what happened. If I just remove all this one, here you can see whatever the value we have added, we can see in the readable format, right? So we have to store this values into one array so that we can every time we can list the data. Here you can see the values are in the readable format. Now what we need, we can just create a list here, const list, and also I am going to create a set list here, list set list. I can declare as an empty array. Fine. Now what we need to do, we need to push this data into our array. So we can just put it here, list dot push. We can just add as id. So id I can add doc dot data dot id. Same way I can add title as well. So title, we can just add doc dot data dot title. Also we can just add completed, which we are already using for complete. Here you are using complete, so we can just that one also we can just add doc data dot complete. Now we need to update the list using the method set list. So we are storing in a temporary variable. Now what we need to update the data here, set list. So whatever the value we are storing in the variable, we can just store into our use state variable list. Now what we can do, we can just put a console here, console.log list. Also we can remove the unwanted consoles. We have removed everything. Now we can just check out this console, reload the function once more. Yes, here you can see we are receiving an array of to-dos whatever we have stored once more, right? So now if I just add one more to-do, array test, okay, let's see what happened. See, the array is updated. We are receiving the new element after appending the value, right? So whatever the value we are adding here, you can see is appending to the list. Now I need to create a list here, right? So for that one, what we can do, we can just create a flat list here. Flat list. Data I am supplying as the value which we are receiving in list. And also I need define one item, render item. So you can just add item here. And also we need to close this JSX, closed. We need to make sure that flat list is imported in React Native, yes. And we can make the item renderable right here. So we can just make view style width, we can just give a around 90%. Height we can just give 15. Yes, now we can close this view here, and we need to add the text will be item dot title. Fine. Now we need to add a color to identify the text. We can just add color black. Here you can just put a background color black, and here this text can be done white. Fine. Now let's refresh the function once more. Yes, what happened? It is not printing here. We need to make sure that it is printing. So we can just check out the documentation here. It is not style. We can just give style, and also we need to give flex direction row. Flex direction row. Also we can just add the text style item dot complete. Also we can just print item dot complete. We can just copy this into one style card, so we can just add card. Yes, card is added, and we can make this like here, and also we can just add align item center. Justify content, we can add space between. Space between. Yes, now let's refresh the we need to refer this here, right? So we can just refer it style dot card. It should be style, not style dot card. Now we can just refer this one. You can see the cards are coming here and the values are printing here, right? We need to make a margin vertical 10, and we can just reduce the size into 40. Here you can see each card is completing here. Now we can just here the value is printing because this is the boolean, so we can just put as if item is complete not complete. Okay, now if I refresh once more, I can see not complete is coming because every value in the Firebase we have stored the value is false. So that's why the value is printing here as false. So what we have done, we have created a listener in the use effect ref.snapshot, which will give all the dative value snapshot, and each snapshot we are looping through and creating a doc function, so we can abstract the data. Now that data we are setting into one list. So using that list we have created one flat list here. You can see. Yes, now also what we can do, we can just put this as 19%, and we can just put a padding horizontal 10. Now if I refresh, it looks once more. Yes, now if I type something here and click add, you can see that value is added on the top. Now here test once more. If I type something, click here, you can see the value is appended on the top. Clear? So we are creating a to-do list using our Firestore. We are real time, we are adding the data into database on real time basis. Clear? Okay, so we can jump into the next lecture.